Welcome to Crypto Flywheel, podcast where we spin up strategies to turn your digital efforts into unstoppable momentum. Now, let's get that flywheel turning. Professor Rex, how's your Saturday going?
Hey, Digital X, it's going great. I can't complain. It's beautiful and sunny outside, and the spirit is high. So let's get that flywheel in motion.
Definitely. So I wanted to talk about the markets today. The markets look pretty nice. It's all green today. Bitcoin's doing pretty well. Looks like it's up 0.3%. All the other cryptos, XRP, Ethereum, BNB, all on an upward movement. So hopefully it stays this way and gets the people excited. Let's just hope for the best, right?
Well, I'll tell you this, Digital X. The hopium is slowly disintegrating and reality is coming forth really quickly. And I don't want to, what most people now with a call somewhat rambunctious. It's really not. What we're going to talk about today, at least what I want to talk about today, it may be perceived as rambunctious, but it's really not. It's really what's happening in the markets. And we're going to tie everything back to what we just recently concluded. And I'm excited about today's show. Let's go. Let's get this flywheel in motion.
Yeah, I just want to bring back some hopium. So a global transition is underway right now. It's hard for us to see it because everything is stagnant, but we are crossing the bridge to the other side unknowingly in the background, right? So I wanted to welcome all our listeners to the new age. I wanted to bring some positivity into your lives today. Looking back at 2016, January 17, 2016, Bitcoin was at $382.30. XRP back then was 0.005 cents. Ethereum back then was at $1.32. And XLM back then was at 0.0017. The reason why I'm going back to 2016 is you may be looking and saying, I don't want to invest into this market at this time because the prices are so high. But imagine if today was 2016 and you invested $10,000 into each of those projects that I just mentioned. XRP, if you would have invested $10,000 back then, you would have had almost 1.9 million XRPs.
No, 2 million. Yeah.
Almost 1.9 million XRPs. If you would have invested $10,000 into BTC, Bitcoin, you would have had 26.15 Bitcoin. If you would have invested $10,000 into Ethereum, you would have had 7,575 Ethereum. And if you would have invested $10,000 into XLM, you would have had close to 5.9 million XLMs. The reason why I'm referring back to the 2016 value is today's value for those projects, if you had invested back then, it would have been $40,000, right? I'm just giving a round figure of $10,000 each because it makes it easier to obtain a value. Today's value of XRP that you would have had would be close to $4 million. BTC, it would have been almost $2.5 million. Ethereum, you would have had little over $25 million in value. And in XLM, you would have had $1.3 million in value. So the reason why I'm saying this is you have to remember it's about the time in the market. Investing into utility projects that are looking to solve an issue are going to be sustainable. So in the long term, you're going to make so much out with that investment. Let's not chase the hype meaning the new projects that are coming out, the new meme coins like the Trump Melania coin, the Shiba Inus, the Paypays, and the Doge coins. If you didn't get in with a lot of capital before it was launched, pre-ICO, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make out as well, you know? So those are, because those are already allocated to these private investors, and then they pump it into the market, and they pay for marketing campaigns and hype you guys up. And so you guys chase these that immediate story that's gravitating and being pushed out into mainstream media and to the social sites. So also, it's not about how much capital you invest. It's about, if you don't have much capital, it's okay. As long as you invest into these solid projects, you will always earn profits.
Yeah, I agree with you, Digital X, and that was a really good narrative of what is happening and why it's important to comprehend that it's never too late, especially right now when we're not, as retail investors, we're not priced out yet in this particular ecosystem of coins that we just concluded, right, in our 8-part series. And I just wanted to further expand on what you just said with what's happening in the market, essentially, right? Like, what has been exposed, right? For example, what I wanted to talk about today was the silver squeeze and what it really exposed for every aspect of the digital asset space, be it RWAs, stable coins, even the macro narrative from the reserves and how current traditional banking instruments function, and there are so many silos that keep us from retail investors like you and me and our audience to capitalize, to earn yield before the intermediaries like the banking institutions take and give us literally pennies on the dollar. So all of that stuff is what I'd like to talk about. And, Digital X, I was referring to, it's what's perceived, what we're going to talk about today, may be perceived as rambunctious, like completely boisterous and out of this world wacko talk. But I'm telling you, behind the scenes, the stable coins, the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, you know what I mean? That and the RWA space is essentially exposing, and then the silver commodity squeeze is exposing a lot of these inefficiencies and outright legal theft that's going on in the space. So I'm excited to talk about it. This is what is your thought on what I just said, Digital X? I'd like for our audience to hear from you as well.
Well, as you were speaking about the silver squeeze and legal theft that's happening, did you know the U.S. Mint government agency quietly reprices silver at $173? Did you know that?
Yeah.
So the physical silver price is the real price, not the paper price on the COMEX. So the Mint told us the value, right? Right now, the Mint told us the value. This happened, I believe, yesterday. And the vault tells us the scarcity. So what you see in the media is telling you that silver's at $90, but in actuality, the U.S. Mint has repriced silver at $173 as of now. So if you're going to buy it from the U.S. government, you're not going to buy it for $90. You can't get it for $90. Its value is at $173. So that $173 is just the value as of now. They're going to continue repricing it up. So the things that you hear and that you see is you can't take it for what it is, right? You can't take it.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. The thing is that what our listeners need to comprehend is that this should also make your blood boil to the point where they're not telling us. Mainstream media is not covering this. CNBC is not covering this. CNN, Fox News, nobody is covering this narrative at all. And that is because there's a strong lobby from the banks, the central banks and the banking systems. No matter what, this ecosystem is going to function. They're always one step ahead or two steps ahead of us, right? So though it is exposed, they've already got the rails in place through this ecosystem, but that's what we are, providing this alpha for our listeners. Look, they already created the problem. They already have a solution for this problem right now, but in order for that to be ushered in, they need to collapse the current system. So that's what's happening behind the scenes. And most 99% of our, of the world has no clue to it. As if nothing, like, Digital X, I'm talking about personal experience. My family members, and I'm not, naming who, but I'm just saying which part of my family member, but they don't even care that, like, hey, can we do, that's not going to pay the bills. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the rails, the fundamentals, the ecosystem that's going to provide us to pay the bills. And we'll get into it a little bit more, because this is really getting into more of a emotional conversation for me. So what do you think, Digital X?
Well, reports are emerging today that major banks are blocking wire transfers into gold and silver dealers, right? They're citing that it's fraud concerns. But I'll tell you, here's the problem. These are blanket restrictions, not case-by-case reviews, right? So people are trying to move their own money into physical assets, and they're not allowed to, right? They're being told, no, you can't do it. These are your banking institutions, your Chase, Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. If you think they're the good guys, they're in it for themselves. They're going to try to steal as much from you, So
yeah, and Digital X, you mentioned it in previous episodes about rehypothecation. That is the biggest legal form of theft, highway robbery from each and every single depositor of funds into their bank accounts in the world. And I'm talking this for, I'm not talking that this is not speculation, or this is not crazy talk. They do rehypothecate. So if you put in $100, that $100, 90% of that is going out again. So they'll hold about $10 in the bank account and lend out $90, and then do the same thing. That $90 is further down, going down, another 10% held. Then what is it? $81 is probably lent out again. So that's how, and it goes all the way down. So that's what this rehypothecation was exposed because of the silver squeeze. So
that raises a serious question, right? If you can't decide how to spend your own money, do you really own it? Right? Do you really own it? That's why we always talk about self-custody, your own crypto. If it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. So if you're leaving your crypto on the exchanges, it's not yours. It's like you're leaving it in the banks. So let's say if that exchange collapses, what happens? You don't have access to your crypto.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, Coinbase, case in point, what Coinbase does, if you leave your XRP, for example, let's say you have 1,000 XRP. Digitally, you have 1,000 XRP in your account when you log into the app, right? But you know what they do? They take that 1,000 XRP for the price that you paid, and they re-lend it out, hypothecate it again, similar to what the banks do when we deposit funds. So instead of keeping your crypto or your digital assets on the exchanges, take it out, put it into a self-custody, cold storage wallet. At that point, it takes away, you can eventually end up, when the ecosystem evolves, you can be your own bank. So that's what we talk about in this flywheel, crypto flywheel. That is the flywheel moment.
Yeah. On a side note, I saw this on an X post. I thought it was something to think about. I was like, wow, you know what? This is actually right. So this is what I saw. I saw a post saying holding 10,000 XRP is a bigger flex than wearing a Rolex.
That's not even a comparison, Digital X. A Rolex
is not, wow. I said, you know what? You're actually right.
100%, 1,000%. I mean, people need to understand, like, our audience is going to be way ahead of the 99% who do not comprehend this, right? The system is not speculative anymore. The assets that we just did an 8-part series on, they're not speculative. They're the ones that are providing the rails for the new financial system. And that, understand that these tokens, this token, QNT is the token, and all the other coins are the the foundation of the new financial system that they're ushering in. Make no mistake, they're ushering it in.
Yes, preach, professor. Preach, professor.
So, I mean, this is where I want our audience to get excited about not just what we talk about, but our channel. We want to we get nothing out of this by just sharing the knowledge, other than sharing the knowledge to our fellow investor. That's it is. If you don't know, we didn't have anybody to tell this to us or to explain this to us. We had to learn this on our own, but both Digital X and myself, Professor X, right? So we became students of this ecosystem.
Yes. I'm sure they're hearing you because you're yelling at them.
No, that's just my wife tells me that all the time, Digital X. I speak so loud when passionate. When I speak passionately, I speak 100 miles an hour, and I get so loud without even knowing. It's not even that. So, yeah.
And I wanted to, talk about QNT. I know we spoke about it 3-4 days ago. Yeah. Have you guys been watching the price appreciation on QNT? I hope you guys were able to pick some up. It's actually approaching $90. I mean, it went from $72 to $90. So take a look. If you haven't researched or done your own research on it, you should consider it. Not financial advice, but just a thought.
Well, to supplement that, Digital X, I've actually written down what I wanted to talk about today. Without forgetting, I wanted to speak about 3 particular out of the 8 assets we talked about in our series. I wanted to talk about XRP, Quant, and XDC. Well, these 3 are not reserve assets in the classical sense, right? They are anti-hypothecation infrastructure. Like literally what we talked about in rehypothecation, and I just went on a rant. These 3 tokens specifically are anti-hypothecation infrastructure. They do not rely on trust and intermediaries. They don't rely on metal vaults. They don't rely on paper promises, IOUs. What they rely on is finality. We talk about deterministic finality. We talk about interoperability, and we talk about verifiable settlement instantly, right? With the speed. This is what these 3 particular tokens or coins and 1 token, XDC and XRP are coins and Quant is a token. So these 3, what they expose is very powerful if you can comprehend it. So please, as our listeners, this is the alpha in our Crypto Flywheel podcast. Go ahead, Digital X. I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
So, hey, I was just, on X today. I heard RFK Jr. is announcing to put cocaine back into Coca-Cola. Is that true? To counter, to help out with the obesity issue?
Is it? So then it might as well just put the marijuana back in too, because it's got some medicinal value, right?
No, actually cocaine increases your heart rate and makes you a little bit more excited, right? So
yeah, and then not only the excitement, the heart rate. Yeah, the heart rate also allows us to burn more fat, doesn't it?
Yeah. But
yeah. So anyway,
but I think they're just messing. They're just messing around. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah. That's not verifiable. Don't take that as any kind of advice that we're giving, guys. So, but anything else? I mean, this is pretty enlightening. I got a lot off my chest today, Digital X. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you could thank your audience. Audience is going to listen to it, and they're going to feel like you're yelling at them.
Yeah, well, you almost forgot. The real world assets. We didn't talk about too much about that, and I wrote that down too. So what is happening with the tokenization is about to embarrass traditional finance. You understand what that means? That means that everyone Go ahead. If you want to say, go ahead. No, I'm saying that. Everyone sells real-world asset tokenization as unlocking liquidity, but it's actually marketing speak, right? That's marketing speak. But what it really does for our listeners to understand is that it forces assets into continuous price discovery. So that means on a day-to-day basis, real world asset tokenizations, you can't, if the assets are being tokenized, they have to prove the value of their utility, right? So there's no opacity, right? The balance sheets cannot be fudged. There can't be stale valuations and political protections or anything like that. This is what the sovereignty of RWA is going to expose and bring to light.
But there's a bigger benefit to it from the banking side, right? You know what that is?
Tell me.
Well, the reason why the banks really are going after tokenization now is because they want to lend out or create more value to be bought from the tokenization. So meaning you could make more money than lending out cash, right? Yeah, you could take out loans against your tokenized asset. So you could generate more loans against your real world asset. So let's say if your real world asset property is valued at $1 million, what you're able to do immediately is go take out $1 million loan against that tokenized asset.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Great point there, Digital X. That is, you know what, in today's today's society, IULs do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does that inherently mean?
But IULs don't provide 100%. There's a certain percentage they allow you to do, right? But with the real world assets, you'll be able to do 100%.
Guess what? Yeah. What that means that IULs, all these insurance vehicles of investments or all these insurance products can also be tokenized into RWAs, right? Real world asset tokenization. So inherently RWA is all of these things are going to come on chain onto the distributed ledger technology. That's what it means. And there's so much benefits that can arise from that. This is why institutions like don't want this to happen, because it takes away intermediaries and all that money and all the yield and alpha that they're keeping from us and giving us peanuts.
Well, you know, in a way, they're trying to push it to move forward with it as well. You know, I was listening to an individual, I don't know where it was, of YouTube or X or something, and they were speaking about they had tokenized a property somewhere in Texas. And in Texas, they had 26 or 25 or 26 different individuals that had invested into the tokenization. So when they invested into the tokenization, each one of them got a percentage of the ownership of that one tokenized asset. So they broke it up into 25 or 26 different pieces, and each of them have values for that one property. So when I mean they have, so they have ownership of 26 different owners for that one property that's tokenized, and these 26 different owners of these NFTs, so there's 26 different NFTs, they're collecting rent from whoever they're renting this one property out to. So this is what you're going to see going forward. Like, you'll be able to tokenize your homes, your investment properties, your cars, to you name it, your businesses, whatever you want. So it's an easy way for you to obtain capital if you ever need it. Right.
Yeah. And also, I also want to supplement that what you just said is, hey, our listeners must also understand every real world asset tokenization that's coming on chain in the future and what's available today, understand or comprehend what the mechanics of that or tokenomics or the white paper is on each of those projects. Because this particular one that Digital X just explained right now might have it's probably unique to that particular land that's tokenized. So it could be different for the next one. You know what I mean? So understand that part of it. Make sure before you invest into any kind of real world asset tokenization projects, read the white paper, understand the mechanics of it before you put your money into it, investment into it.
Yep. Well said. Well said. Hey, Bob, I wanted to, thank the audience for listening to us. Well, hopefully you guys have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your day. Professor X, you want to flywheel out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that this particular episode went a little longer than we typically have our episodes. So thank you. I do not have anything further to add. So with that, I always end by saying, please engage and ask questions and comment, and we will answer our comment within the comment section or in subsequent episodes. And then with that, this Crypto Flywheel episode is signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.